I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with a 3-minute cattle market update for Wednesday, August the 31st, where these cattle feeders finally cried uncle or calf rope, depending on what kind of household you grew up in. But I know in the last 20 years we've never seen anything happen like this early in the week. Just so much tumultuous market conditions there, and things happening on a Monday, and then the board turning back around there late Tuesday, and it's just crazy what's going on here. Your live cattle futures October contract on Monday was down $1.27, just continuing that big downtrend there, 12, 13, 14 days in a row, except for maybe one day where it was up a dime. But Tuesday was down hard most all the day, and then late in the session, right before the close there, turned around and went sky high and ended up higher by $2.40 to end the day at 107.47. Your August contract ended its whole life there, the contract life, at 111.50, which ended up being positive. So we're at a negative basis now because the board's higher than cash because the latest sales we had were $1.10. And we always said by the time August closes up, finishes up, it's going to be a negative basis, and the board's going to be higher than cash, and I'll be darned if it didn't happen. It's unbelievable. Feeder cattle, September, Monday was down 77, Tuesday morning was down hard, and then the major correction there on it too, and it just flip-flopped and ended the day Tuesday up 337 to close at 142.52. The October and November contracts were both up over $4, and remember, November is going to be on those heavier cattle when they move that base from 750 up to 800 pounds on the base for your Chicago Mercantile Exchange feeder cattle index. But corn was down both Monday and Tuesday, around about 10 cents there, with your new crop at 315.5. We're going to have trouble keeping that in the threes before harvest starts. And your cash prices are going to be way below that. I tell you what, you got to feel for these corn farmers. Every time they get a decent crop, you know, it's just going to be bad price there. And now they're trying to figure out how to walk this corn to town, and that doesn't look like it's going to work either. If you stole the feed and stole the fuel for the feed truck to haul it in, these cattle still aren't going to work. Your weighted average for last week's fat cattle trade on 90,300 head, your weighted average live steers at 114.60, that was down 291. Dress steers 180.23, down 580. But we've already had a lot of trade so far this week here. Monday, we had a little bit of trade coming in from, I'm saying a lot of trade, but more than usual. We had 10,000 head sell that come through mandatory reporting on a negotiated basis just for Monday. 10,000 head on a Monday. They were trading from 110 with a few up to 111, you know, which was, the bulk of the trade was at 115 last week. Not sure why feeders were selling cattle like that whenever packers were wanting cattle on a Monday. That's hard to figure right there. We had some dress sales there from 175 to as much as 177 on Monday, but then Tuesday we come back in and all you could get live was $1.10, and that's in all 5 areas, and your dress sales from 174 to 175. So no telling what's going to happen here late in the week now, but they're still going to need cattle. But the thing is, they're not buying cattle for the short week, for the holiday week. No. Talked to a fat cattle buyer up in the Midwest, and he said at least 2 of the 4 majors, if you sold them anything even on a Monday, that was for the week following. We're going to be scheduled in the middle of the week following Labor Day holiday week. So that's not the problem, and at least one of the regionals was doing that. So these packers are killing a lot of cattle. They're making money hand over fist, just continuing to do it. They talked a bunch of guys into selling them cattle 3 weeks out, which took any kind of leverage that they had coming into this week, and they knew they had this holiday week. Everything just lined up perfect for them. And finally, these cattle feeders, they just got to thinking that their cattle weren't worth anything. You know I talked here on this that I talked to people 3 months ago that said they was going to have a hard time by the end of the year keeping these cattle, fat cattle, over $1 live. And we're not that far away from it. I wish that that wasn't the case, but that's the way it is. And these cattle feeders just running scared. They just scared to death, thinking their cattle weren't worth anything, and just start puking them on a Monday and a Tuesday. Whenever they know that these packers are making so much money and they're needing cattle. And last week's kill was over 600,000, 605,000 it was adjusted up to. But it's hard to believe these hedged cattle feeders are the first ones to sell them because they're afraid of this basis change that we've actually had here the last day that August fat cattle could trade. They know we're about to flip-flop to a negative basis where the cash cattle are going to be lower than what the board is, and I'll be darned if it didn't happen. CME feeder cattle index at 144.18, down only 12 cents on after Monday's trade, when all of your majors big sale barns were $5 to $10 lower. That's hard to believe, but they got a lot of cattle in there holding those up on that 7-day average. Real-time index on Cattle Market Central, 140.97. Look at some cash feeder markets. Oklahoma City had 6,000 head. Feeder cattle and calves, $5 to $10 lower. Just and you know, those guys are running scared too. You know, the producers that are selling those calves and feeder cattle don't have a lot of say in what those cattle are going to bring, especially in the auction there. But you know, your feedlots that we talked about were running scared on the selling end. They were running scared on the buying end too. Nobody wanted to give anything for nothing. But Joplin, 3,800 head, light run there as they continue to be wet and not a lot of cattle moving there. $4 to $8 lower in Joplin. You look at Cattle Market Central, a report out of McCook, Nebraska. You're seeing the big disparity between the northern feedlot area and the southern feed yards, as because we've got some of these farmer feeders starting to come into the market to get rid of this worthless corn that they've got. And that's what these cattle are, is just a means of getting rid of this corn. Their bins are full. They know they got a bumper crop out there. They're going to be stacking this stuff on the ground. These guys are chopping silage like crazy, just trying to do anything to get rid of this corn crop. But McCook, Nebraska, you look at your quotes on there, don't pay so much attention to the price change, because the previous week they had a real light run. But look at the average on those 7-weight steers, over 300 head in there, with a weighted average of 153.71. And my gosh, that is just $10, $15 higher than the sales that are 200 to 300 miles further south. But go to Beef Market Central and become a Prime member, and you can keep up with this fast changing market, especially on that feeder cattle ticker that's got all those sale barns and just everything going through the ring during the day. You can just keep up with it and watch it refresh. That's 3 minutes or a lot more, and we'll talk to you on Friday.